welcome back to the Realm Go Festival. Big Mek here, and it's time we talk about beakies. Because, you know, blue. Let's get into it. That's right. Today we are talking about good old-fashioned Space Marines here on The Red Ones Go Faster. Now, I know everything around here is very orc-centric, but this channel is about everything Warhammer 40K, and we do indeed collect just about all the armies, and I myself even have quite a large Space Marine army. And these videos that we're doing are on the holiday battle forces. And our statistics have shown over the last few years that we've done this, that the vast majority of you watching have never been here before. So hi, and welcome. Prepare to be lambasted with knowledge from old Big Mek's noggin here as I help you turn your holiday battle force into a viable army. Now, this particular episode might be different than most because Space Marines is the one exception to the rule on what Games Workshop does with these battle forces. Basically, if you've seen any of the other videos, you know that these battle forces are not designed for people that already collect the army. If you are an orc player like me and you have an extensive collection, most orc boxes are not going to actually interest you because you probably own just about everything in them. And the same is true for all of the other armies. These holiday boxes are specifically designed to entice you to start a brand new army. And so we do something unique. We take a look at the battle force. We assume you already have it. You are holding it in your grubby little hands. Everybody else tends to look at it as a value per dollar, a value for points, and they totally miss the plot that most of the people buying these are for gifts. It can be a gift for yourself, no judgment, but still they're buying it for gifts as a way to start an army. So we take a look at the battle force, we take a look at the combat patrol or any other box sets that could be useful for expanding the army and give people a really good recommendation, a nice solid foundation for their army on where to move from here in a way that makes sense so that you have maximum fun on your hobby journey. Because here we are all about collecting, building, kit bashing, and having super fun with your armies. So with all that being said, let's get into the Iron Halo Strike Force. And here it is in all of its glory. This is what you just pulled out of your holiday box. You get yourself a captain with the company heroes. That's all these guys right here. This is a multi-part kit that gives you a ton of options to build all these guys in all sorts of really cool different ways. But you've got an ancient who is the banner bearer guy. You've got like a champion, you've got your captain, and then you've got a couple other veterans. Really, really cool. You also get a lieutenant. He's the dude up there with the other guys with the robes, who happen to be your Stern Guard veterans. So they are veterans, and they have guns. Above them are regular dudes with plasma guns. Those are called Hellblasters. And then the two big stompy robot guys are Dreadnoughts. What you have here is a Redemptor Dreadnought. He's got a close combat arm and a shooting arm. And a Ballistus, who just has two shooting arms. So quite a lot of variety in this box. And I gotta admit, on the old Boxometer, this one really slaps. It is an excellent box to open up and have a wide variety of things to build and paint for your first time. You've got a couple of regular dudes, you've got a couple of fancy dudes, you've got a couple of extra fancy dudes, and you've got two big stompy robots, so you're not gonna get overly bored because none of those squads are large. The biggest one is 5 people, and none of anything in there repeats. You get a lot of variety. Even the two dreadnoughts, even though they're two dreadnoughts, they are very different dreadnoughts. In fact, to the point where the Ballistus dreadnought is a push fit model, so it only goes together one way. You can like pose the arms and stuff, but like it only goes together one way. There's not a whole lot of options or anything on it. I think like the front carapace thing you can glue on or off, but it kind of builds really easy. And then the Redemptor Dreadnought is the full fat kit where you can completely pose it, pose the legs, pose the arms, lots of different weapons and stuff. And so it's even like a great thing from a hobbyist perspective because you can build that much easier to build model first and get an like, you know, some experience at your belt and some idea of how these things work before you move on to the other guys. In fact, there might be some more push fit models in here. I'm not entirely sure. Games Workshop hasn't really said, but Hellblasters have come. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. Hellblasters have only been full glue, but the Stern Guard veterans have come in a monopose version as well. So don't know what's going on with those, but still, regardless of which version they are, they do look excellent. They are fantastic kits. This really is an exciting box. Now, normally, if this was one of the other videos, we would immediately go into how many points that is and where to go from here. Space Marines is very, very different because even though these guys are painted Ultramarines, they are generic Space Marines. And generic Space Marines can be used in every Space Marine army. That's right. If you wanted to do Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Imperial Fists, Raven Guard, Raptors, your own chapter, it doesn't matter. Every Space Marine chapter can use all the generic kits. What you can't do is use the chapter-specific ones outside of the chapter. So, Blood Angels, you've got, Death Company. You're not going to be able to put Death Company in your Dark Angels or your Ultramarines. Vice versa, you're not going to be able to take your Dark Angels guys, including like Lionel Johnson, and put him in an Ultramarines army or Blood Angels army. Does that make sense? So once you've picked a lane, you still have access to all the generic stuff, but then you also open up access to the specific stuff for that army. That also means that the points values are kind of all over the place because depending on which faction you choose, the points values can be different for the generic guys because there are some armies where some of these generic guys work way better. For example, Black Templars really like these company heroes. The Redemptor Dreadnought is excellent in them, right? So there could be a different points value for them than if you were running them as generic Space Marines or as Ultramarines or something like that. So I'm not going to get into specific point values and all that. Also, again, a full acknowledgement, battle forces are designed for new players. Everybody has a Space Marine army. You just do. If you are into Warhammer 40K, you are guaranteed to have a Space Marine army because every single launch box, every single starter box since the dawn of time has had Space Marines in it. So everybody ends up with a Space Marine army. They are the cheapest army to get into. They are the most prevalent army. Back in the heyday, Games Workshop was kind of famous for saying that like 60% of all of their sales combined, like not just 40K, like everything Games Workshop sold, 60% of it was a Space Marine. So I don't think that's so true anymore these days in 2025, which is a good thing, but they are still a significant chunk. They are the 500-pound gorilla in the room. They are the elephant. They are everything. Space Marines are the poster boys. And now more than ever, right now, November 2025, Space Marine 2 hit the internet, the world this year, and got a whole bunch of people interested in the tabletop game for the first time. You've got the re-release of Dawn of War. You've got all the announcements about the Amazon shows coming out. Warhammer Plus animations have been kicking it. There was that secret lair episode. Like, there's just been so much media attention on Warhammer and specifically on Space Marines that we really are seeing a bunch of new people. But, and again, this is the big but that's only for these guys, because they are so prevalent, because everybody already has them, I'm going to go ahead out on a limb here and say 99.9% chance this is not your only Space Marine box. You probably have something. Even if it was buying one of those little magazines that's got like one Space Marine in it, or a little box that's got 3 Space Marines in it, and you painted a couple, you probably already have some Space Marines. You may even have a starter box. You may have a little squad. You may have a couple of squads. You may have one of those like, little Warhammer Hero blind box things. You probably have other Space Marines. So the advice given on this is just going to be very, very different than all of the other videos. And then especially considering you can split this up into any number of armies. Like I said, it is legal for generic Space Marines. It's legal for Blood Angels. It's legal for Dark Angels, Black Templars, Space Wolves, and all of those guys have their own separate codexes, their own separate rules. And then you get into like some of the other chapters have gotten like single detachments, like in White Dwarf and online articles and things like that. So Imperial Fists, Salamanders, Iron Hands, Raven Guard, White Scars, even Ultramarines themselves like could have a specific detachment thing. You could split this into any of them, and all of them are going to change which units are going to go better with them, what you should do, what the points are, all of that jazz. And we are going to talk about them. Believe me, we are going to talk about them, but just trying to do the points for all of it, trying to make very specific recommendations for all of it is hopeless, but also ridiculous because you already have some Space Marines. So take the Space Marines you have and take these Space Marines and put them together, and you've started an army. Okay, all that out of the way, it's an excellent box. It really is. I personally love how like varied everything in this box is. Some of the boxes this year and a lot of the boxes in the past have been very repeated. You kind of get like 10 guys and then 10 other guys and then like maybe 5 guys, and there's not like a lot of vehicles, there's not a lot of variety. It's kind of like just different weapon loadouts for the same army over and over and over again, and those are not fun. That, like, when you're all excited on Christmas morning, that's not what you want. So all that, you know, in mind, having something like this where you've got this super core HQ unit that's got a ton of adaptability in it and how you build it, and then this core elite unit has a ton of adaptability in it and how you build it, a real nice, not necessarily battle line, but like a nice regular troop squad that's got good firepower, you know, that's good for its points, and the 2 different dreadnoughts gives you a lot of variety to start with. Now, what are you missing then from this box? Where can you go from here? The big thing is you're missing battle line. You're missing your basic troops. For those of you that are new to Warhammer 40K, the probably very small percentage on this video, but for those of you that are new, when you actually play Warhammer 40K the game on the tabletop, you play missions, and the way you actually win missions is by scoring primary and secondary objectives. And some missions you kind of have to have battle line, and other missions battle line is way more effective at scoring those points than non-battle line. And what does battle line mean? They are the basic troops. You are cookie cutter, bread and butter, regular line troops. Way back in the day, when all of us graybeards started, we had something called the force organization chart, and every type of unit was classified as to what it was, and these were your basic troops. And the rules have always kind of been the same with this. You can have 3, this hand doesn't work, you can have 3 of any unit in your army. So, like, for example, that ballistic dreadnought, you could take 3 ballistic dreadnoughts, but then that's it, you can't take 4. But battle line units, your regular Space Marines, so in this case it would be Tactical Squad would have been it for Firstborn Marines. It's your Intercessor Squads now with the Primaris guys, but that squad, instead of taking 3, you could take 6. Okay, so that troop choice is what became battle line. The only other restriction is named characters you can take 1 of. So non-named characters, you know, everything else, rule of 3, named characters 1, battle line. There we go. You get 1 finger. 6. All right. So what you're missing is battle line. You're missing basic troops. You're missing that kind of stuff from this army, and so that's where you would really want to go next. We're in a weird spot. Right now, this is the 10th and a half-ish edition of Warhammer 40K, and the launch box did not have any battle line in it for the first time, like, ever. Every other launch box has featured basic tactical Space Marines, basic Intercessor Space Marines, those kind of things that were your bread and butter, that were your troops, that were your battle line units. Nowadays, they don't. This edition launched with the Leviathan box, which was an excellent box. If you do find any out there, they're cool and worth getting, but only if you're paying retail or less than the contents of everything in it. There's nothing else really that special about it. But that also means that when they take that box and they break it out into the different starter boxes that are available now to buy, there's no basic troops in it. Same thing with the combat patrol. So it makes it kind of hard to get basic troops. That being said, more than likely, this is not your first rodeo with Space Marines, and you have a bunch of Space Marines, and you probably do have some basic troops. They're pretty darn easy to get a hold of. The free minis in the Warhammer store are most often Space Marines, and they're regular ones. There's those, again, Hero Blind boxes and all sorts of boxes that we can talk about here later that do come with regular old Intercessors in them. So it's really easy to get your hands on them. It's not that big a deal. But yeah, that's where we're at with the army. So let's get specific then, because we've been waffling about this Battle Force and Space Marines in general. Let's get specific. You have this Battle Force. I'm going to go ahead and assume that whatever other Space Marines you have either work great or don't work at all, or you don't have enough. Okay, so we're just going to assume that no matter what you've got in your backlog, maybe you had already painted them or something like that, but this is going to be the start of your actual Space Marine army, where to go from here. These are the only ones that we are assuming everybody watching this has. First of all, there's Combat Patrol Space Marines. Let me be clear. Don't buy this box. This is a terrible box even for combat patrols. Now, for those of you that don't know what combat patrol is, which is kind of unlikely, but we're going to do it anyway, it is both a way to play Warhammer 40K and a box set. As a way of playing Warhammer 40K, it's kind of honestly hot garbage. Basically, it's very uneven and disjointed, and the boxes are not fair to one another, and so it's not a great playing experience. The rules aren't great. I just wouldn't play it. But Combat Patrol also begets Combat Patrol, the discount box. Why is this important? Games Workshop, who makes Warhammer, they operate on a contracted fixed price model. What that means is when they sell their product to other vendors, to friendly local game stores and things like that, they contract them with the price and go, you cannot sell this for above a certain price or below a certain price. You have to be in that window, period, the end. But it's a two-way street. That means Games Workshop also cannot sell it for above or below that price. So they can't do any sales. Games Workshop cannot go, we're taking 20% off all of our prices. They can't do that. So the only way that they can give you a value outside of MSRP is to bundle. And so what they do is they take pre-existing kits, they bundle together into a single box with a new SKU on it, and then they can sell this for a different price. But they also sell it to, again, all of those same vendors. They get all the combat patrols, they get all the battle forces, they get all the army launch boxes. That's how they get discounts out there. And combat patrol is the only way that is like, 24/7, 365. You can walk into a Warhammer store, friendly local game store, anytime and buy combat patrols. They might not have the one you want, but they can definitely get it in. They are not limited usually. Games Workshop has been meddling lately with releasing not limited ones, but single run ones, which means that they produce a whole bunch of them and sell as many of them as they can, but then they don't make them anymore. Whereas the ones that are for each individual army, they continue to reproduce throughout the entirety of the edition. So if it's a regular one, you'll be able to get it. If it's not a regular one, you might not be able to. And I will let you know as we go on through these recommendations which ones are regular and able to get all the time and which ones are a little special. So that's the story behind combat patrols. Now, why not the Space Marine Combat Patrol? Well, a couple of reasons. One, it's actually all the stuff from the starter set, which is actually all the stuff from that Leviathan launch box we talked about. They are push fit. There's nothing wrong with that. The engineering on them is fantastic. They're lovely looking models when they're built, but they are less expensive to produce. They are less detailed, and they do have less options available to them. Also, because they are in those starter sets, it's cheaper to just buy the starter set. There is no point in buying Combat Patrol Space Marine when you can literally buy a starter set. I think it's even called the Combat Patrol Starter Set now. It used to be called like the Ultimate Starter Set, but it has the full Combat Patrol Space Marine in it and the full Combat Patrol Tyranid in it, which you'll want to stay tuned for 2 more videos from now when we do the Tyranid Battle Force on that one. That one will come back up. And terrain. And all of that, I think, retails for about 40 more bucks than just Combat Patrol Space Marine. Right? So do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's no point in buying the actual Combat Patrol Space Marine, especially at retail price. That being said, Combat Patrol Space Marine, for some reason, has been discounted more than the contract price. I think what vendors are doing are they're getting the starter sets and they're breaking them up and they're selling them as Combat Patrol no box is how they're getting around it. But basically, I found it for less than $100. If you can find Combat Patrol Space Marine for less than $100 or the Space Marine half of the Combat Patrol starter set, you're doing pretty good. That would be okay. But don't go into the Warhammer store and find the box that says Combat Patrol Space Marine on it and give them $175 or $180 for it. That's ridiculous, okay? Top tip there. Now, what is in that box? Let's take a look. And here is that Combat Patrol. And yes, it is indeed that small. What you have here is a Captain in Terminator armor, a Librarian in Terminator armor, a squad of Terminators, and a squad of Infernus Marines, which are not regular battle line troops. They are, you know, regular Primaris Space Marines, but with flamers, which are cool, but yeah, not generalized troops. That's it. That's the whole combat patrol. No vehicles, no monsters, no walkers, just a bunch of Terminators. Now, again, suffice it to say, it's not that they're not cool. Terminators are cool. I especially like the Terminator Librarian. It's one of my favorite Space Marine sculpts that has come out this edition. But as a combat patrol, it's terrible. As a value proposition for money, it's awful. Unless you can get it super cheap. Like I said, if you buy online from one of these box breaker guys for like less than $100, awesome. If you've got even better, a Warhammer 40K starter set where you got like your rule book and all that stuff too, and you got these guys, totally perfect. How do they work with the Iron Halo Strike Force though? Actually kind of pretty well. The Iron Halo Strike Force does not have any Terminators in it, but that's fine because you do have the squad of Terminators in this box for the captain or the librarian to lead. Usually I like pairing the captain with the Terminators. The librarian is pretty decent at running around on his own, which is fantastic, but they provide a totally different battlefield like role than anything else that's in your battle force. They are elite, but they are elite heavy duty troopers. They've got great survivability and they can both punch and throw out some ranged weapons on there. So, you know, they really do provide another thing. And then the little guys, the Infernus Marines, are actually pretty cool. They're great against hordes, little slithering guys. They're fantastic for holding objectives because if they get charged, they can use those flamethrowers to do Overwatch and all of their shots actually hit. And there's no repeats. There is nothing in the combat patrol that is in the battle force. And that is excellent. That is absolutely excellent. So again, I do heartily recommend picking these models up. Just don't get it in the actual box combat patrol. Either get the combat patrol starter set that has all the terrain and the whole Tyranid army in it too for like $40 more. Or, you know, like I said, find it, you know, online for super cheap. Definitely don't go out of your way to get it. But I'm going to assume that you probably either already have it or some of it or, you know, some sort of starter set from there. Now, what are your other options? For now, we're going to stick on generic Space Marine. We're going to circle back around to the various chapters, okay? But if you wanted to stick with generic Space Marines moving forward, what are your other options? Well, surprisingly, there are two more boxes we can talk about. One is an online-only box sold by Games Workshop called the Vanguard Task Force. Now, this box is super interesting. It's actually $20 cheaper than Combat Patrol Space Marine, and look at everything you get. First of all, there is a Lieutenant in Phobos armor. He is that dude right there. There's also 3 Eliminators, which are these really cool dudes with the sniper rifles and the camo cloaks. There are 3 Suppressors, which are these dudes here in the back that have the jump pack with the great big guns, as well as 10 Infiltrators. That's these dudes here with the really wild backpacks with the antennas. There are 10 of them in there, and you could build them as either infiltrators or I believe the other word was incursors, something like that. But yeah, there's an option on how you build those guys. So that is actually a really interesting box. 10 battle line-ish guys, depending on what detachment you're doing. 3 big snipers, 3 big jump pack dudes, and a lieutenant. Again, all cheaper than the Combat Patrol. This box is actually really, really interesting. You see, it is part of a box that came out a long time ago. If I'm remembering right, it was called Shadow Spear. I have it down there in that stack somewhere, because I really, really like the box. It was these guys versus some Chaos Space Marines, and I think there was even more in the box than this, but it was all the really sneaky, actual tactical Marines. And that is the exact opposite of this battle force, which is all your very ostentatious, showy, billowy cloaked, you know, crazy pants knight Marines. So having this yang to that box's yin is actually kind of intriguing. So if you want that little bit of everything in your Space Marine force, this Vanguard Task Force is actually an excellent pickup. Now again, it's only available online through Games Workshop Direct, but it does retail for $150 US, which is again cheaper than the $170 that stinking Combat Patrol is. And even at that price, at the $150, I think this is actually a pretty decent deal. All of these models are choice. This is top shelf S tier, even though they are kind of slightly push fitty. it doesn't matter. These models are the bee's knees. They really are excellent. My own personal Space Marine army started off with that Shadow Spear box set, which, like I said, I think even had a couple more guys than this. I loved it so much that I went out and bought the full, the Infiltrators are the only things that you can multi-build. Everything else in that box was only ever released in that box. That Lieutenant only comes that one way. The Suppressors only come that one way. But again, it's okay. Just, run one squad of them. But I went out and bought more of the all sneaky guys, more Phobos dudes, that kind of stuff. That's what my army turned into. And I got rid of all my billowy cloak guys because I determined that I didn't really like those, which is why this battle force we're talking about in this video isn't for me. But it is for you, and that's okay. So yeah, if you want something that's a 180 opposite difference to what comes in this battle force, because you do really want the full meal deal of everything Space Marine that's different, this is the anti-battle force. This is the one to go with. Now, there is one more box we're going to talk about. It is a really old box. It is not available through Games Workshop anymore. At this point, I think this box is coming on either a year or a year and a half old. It's called Task Force Agastus. Task Force Agastus came out, and it was the launch of the Nerf gun Marines. Basically, it's Space Marine intercessors with guns. They're called Desolation Marines or something like that, and they literally look like Nerf guns. Like, they were so funny, even us Orc players made fun of them for being funny looking with their weapons. They are truly kind of idiotic looking. But you basically got those guys, I think it was like 10 of them, and a leader and a Redemptor Dreadnought, and that was it. And it's not a good box. They way overproduced it. And there are still literally hundreds of them for sale online for cheaper than their retail price. That being said, avoid it. Avoid that box at all costs. Don't fall for the trap. Don't be like, oh, yeah, this would be like, You're going to get a repeat in that Dreadnought. The Desolation Marines are really, really goofy looking. And again, everything that you're getting already in your battle force can kind of cover what they can do. The Hellblasters are great at shooting. The Stern Guard are great at shooting. You've got a Dreadnought that has guns on it that's better at shooting than the Dreadnought that comes in Agastus. It's just, yeah, it is just not a good idea. Even super discounted, like how we talked about, don't buy the Combat Patrol, but if you find it, super discounted, it's good. Even super discounted, personally, I would steer away from Task Force Agastus. That also goes for any other Space Marine box you find. If you find somebody that's trying to sell you like Indomitus or Dark Imperium or any of the other non-launch boxes that had half armies in them, where they're breaking the army in half, if it's more than retail, don't do it. And when I say retail, remember the fixed price does allow retailers to discount. I believe 15% is the max on Warhammer 40K stuff, right? So if it's a $100 box, you can find it online for $85, or at your friendly local game store for $85. So when you're looking at a combo box, if it's got 3 things in it, that doesn't mean it's worth $300. It means it's worth the $85 times 3, because that's what you're buying those individual models for. So definitely do your research before you pick up any old random boxes to add to your army. That being said, if you do have things where you already own the boxes because you bought them back when it made sense, that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with the models inside of them. I'm specifically talking about the price point that people are trying to get for these older Space Marine boxes, hoping to find somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. So definitely a top tip there. So now that we're done with the generic Space Marines, which we will still keep touching on, but right now we're going to look and focus on the divergent chapters. For those of you, again, that don't know, because there are a lot of new people that are watching this, even though this one is Space Marines, divergent chapters have their own rules on the tabletop and also their own units that only they can use. So for example, Blood Angels, which is the first one we're going to go over, there's a Blood Angels Codex, and then there are Blood Angels units that only Blood Angels can take. That also means Blood Angels cannot take units that are Dark Angel specific or Black Templar specific, etc. So if you're not going to do a generic chapter, if you are going to choose one of these divergent ones, make sure you pick the one that you like, because then you're like kind of forced to stay in that lane. Now, 4 out of the next 5 we're about to go over, in fact, the next 4 in a row, are all regularly sold Combat Patrols like Combat Patrol Space Marine. You should be able to walk into your Warhammer store, friendly local game store, and buy these anytime, as of this recording, November 2025 through next edition, 11th edition, when a new codex comes out. and they changed the battle force or the combat patrols. So these are regularly produced and reproduced boxes. If your store doesn't have it, they can order it and it will come in quickly. It is a regular item. All that being said, the last one that we're going to go over, the Ultramarines one, is not. We'll talk about that when we get there. But first, let's take a look at the Blood Angels. All right, so this is Combat Patrol Blood Angels, and you can see there is a Blood Angel Captain down here on the bottom left, 10 Assault Intercessors. Those are the regular Space Marines with swords. And then these funky guys here with the golden armor and the jump packs with little teeny tiny wings are Sanguinary Guard. These guys are the only ones that are Blood Angel specific. This guy is called a Blood Angel Captain, but really you can use him to build a regular captain or regular lieutenant. These guys, however, they are only in Blood Angels. Assault Intercessors, though, are pretty generic. Honestly, this Combat Patrol is kind of terrible. Not just in Combat Patrol the game, but just in general. 10 Assault Intercessors. Assault Intercessors were the push fit thing in the last edition and 9th edition, so you can find tons of them everywhere all the time. These are the multi-part ones, but still, there's not a whole lot of value there. And then again, being Blood Angel specific, only having one unit that is Blood Angel specific, and frankly, it's the weakest one. And I don't mean weakest like tabletop wise, I mean like sculpt wise. They were pretty widely lauded as not being a great sculpt and being a downgrade compared to the ones that they replaced. If you like them, that's great, more power to you, but just kind of keep in mind, on the all in all, this is not a great Combat Patrol. It's also not a great value, like for me, hobby-wise. I mean, you think about spending something like $170 retail on this, you get 10 regular bog standard dudes, 6 kind of special dudes with jump packs that are a little bit of a downgrade, and then 1 character. There's no vehicles, there's no like heavy infantry, there's no Terminators, there's no walkers, there's nothing really that cool in it. It's 11 dudes and 6 dudes with jump packs. So keep that in mind. It's not the greatest. There was an older Blood Angels Combat Patrol from 9th through 10th edition that was way better for both generics and Blood Angels specifically. You're not going to find that box out in the wild, and if you do, it's probably going to be retail or higher, so forget that it exists. As far as getting this box goes, again, if you want to do Blood Angels and somebody else buys it for you, by all means, you're in great shape. I would not go spend my own money on this unless you can find it deeply, 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 deeply discounted, or you absolutely love every single character in it. All that being said, if you do somehow end up with it, it does work pretty decently with the battle force. It's another different type of captain than the captain that comes in the battle force, so that's nice. The 10 Assault Intercessors are battle line units, which is great. You need those. You can run them as 1 10-man squad or 2 5-man squads, so that's nice. And the Sanguinary Guard are actually something that is Blood Angel specific, and they're jump packs. You don't have any jump packs in your army yet, so it does work well with the battle force. It's just standalone on its own. It's not a great value for the money. All right, now let's talk about Dark Angels. So this is Combat Patrol Dark Angels. We'll start off with the Gravis Captain here on the bottom in the green. The 3 white guys, or white armored guys with him, are the Blade Guard Veterans. Then you'll see 5 of those Hellblasters, just like we have in our battle force, and then 10 regular Intercessors. As far as generic goes, this is actually excellent. None of these are Dark Angel specific. Anybody can pick this box up and use it. Do keep in mind that these boxes do come with upgrade sprues that are specific. So this will have an upgrade sprue that's all Dark Angel stuff and Dark Angel's decals. But you don't have to use any of that by any means. So if you like these guys to pick up, this is actually a pretty darn good option. Now again, as a standalone Combat Patrol, it's not the most exciting. It's 10 bog standard regular Intercessors, which are even more common than Assault Intercessors, because again, there were a ton of push fit ones made, more than one type even. Again, the free giveaway Space Marine is a regular Intercessor. They had a 3-pack unit that came with some paints that were super easy to find. They had a 5-pack unit that was super easy to find. These are the 10 multi-part kits, which are great. It's a fantastic kit, and you can use them to kit bash into other things that use that armor mark. But just keep in mind, it is 10 bog standard battle line guys. It is good though. You can split them up just like the Blood Angels one into 5 and 5 on the tabletop. So that's nice. They are battle line that you do want to add to your army, so that's great. These guys are the shooting focus as opposed to close combat focus. I think they're actually a little bit stronger in the game. They're a little bit better at shooting than the assault ones are at close combating. It is a good unit, but just dollar-wise, value-wise, spending $170 retail on this combat patrol, and you get 10 box standard dudes, and then 5 of those hell blasters again, which are just like the 5 that you have in your battle force, and then kind of 4 characters. Maybe isn't the best thing, but if somebody gifts this to you, it's an excellent box to work with the battle force. The hell blasters, even though it is a repeat unit, you only have 5 in the battle force and 5 in this box. You can run them as a 10-man squad, or you can run them as 5 and 5. And honestly, I have 3 squads of hell blasters for my army. They're one of my favorite units personally, so I think that there's a lot of value in those. And again, you can always combine them into the one squad. And then the 3 Blade Guard veterans are super cool, because you do have the Stern Guard veterans, which are the robed guys with the guns in the battle force. And now here you've got the robed guys with the swords, which is really cool. It gives you the assault close combat version of that unit. And then the Gravis captain is a pretty darn cool model, and is very different than the captain that you get in the battle force. So again, this, like, box wise, unit wise, it does go very well with the battle force. Just as a combat patrol, as another box on its own, it's a little disappointing. Once again, no vehicles, no walkers. The Gravis armor guy is technically a heavy infantry, but realistically, like, there's nothing real big in here, and just a couple of the fancy units, but it is a solid choice. Okay, next we're going to talk about Space Wolves. So this is Combat Patrol Space Wolves, and this is all very, very, very different than anything you have seen so far. So you get a Wolf Guard Battle Leader, which is this guy here, who has 5 Wolf Guard Terminators to protect him. That's these big dudes up there. You also get a 5 Wolf-In, which are these, these guys up here. There we go. 5 Wolf-In. They're kind of like half wolf, half scout, kind of crazy looking dudes. And 10 Blood Claws, which are these assault intercessor type things that are a entry level unit for the Space Wolves. So in this, you get every single unit in this box is Space Wolf specific. Nobody can use any of these but Space Wolves. So if you want to do Space Wolves, this box is fantastic. What a 180 from that Dark Angel box we just looked at, right? The Dark Angel box that says Dark Angels on it, nothing in the box is actually locked to Dark Angels. This box says Space Wolves on it. Everything in the box is locked in. So obviously, no repeats to the Battle Force. You do have Terminators, but they are Space Wolf specific ones called the Wolf Guard. Now, this channel, we're all about kit bashing. I am the kit bashing king. I don't know modern Space Wolves. The last time I messed with Space Wolves was like around 5th edition, probably about 15 to 18 years ago. But if that kit has a bunch of extras, you could probably use those extras, like extra heads, extra pelts, weapons, things like that, to turn the 5 Terminators in the regular Combat Patrol into 5 more of the Wolf Guard ones, if you wanted to kind of like double up on that, for example, or potentially put all the Space Wolf stuff on the the Terminator Captain and Librarian. But yeah, just as a box, it's a fantastic box for Space Wolves. Even though this one does not have any vehicles or walkers or anything like that, it's got a much better mix of the infantry. The 5 Wolfen, they're kind of like these crazy mutant human wolf hybrid guys, and they're actually like quite small, and they're very different than power armor. So they are very much their own thing. And then you do get 10 of the Blood Claws, but Blood Claws, being a Space Wolf specific unit, have a ton of options. So when you build them, you really get to go crazy with all the different little details and poses and weapons and choosing things. And then you get the Terminators, and the Terminators are much bigger and larger and bulkier than those 10 intercessors. So you do get like 3 distinct size and style of infantry. So it is a much more exciting box. If you're going to do an all infantry box, this is the way to do it. This is a much, much more exciting box from a hobby perspective and an army collecting perspective. Again, as it goes with the Battle Force, it's fantastic. Those 10 Blood Claws are battle line for Space Wolves. That's fantastic. You don't have any Terminators in the Battle Force, so getting some Terminators is fantastic. And then those Wolfen guys, again, they're totally unique. They're not like anything else. So it's really, really, really going to go well. The Battle Force itself, again, I don't play Space Wolves. I can't speak to the current rules or anything like that, but just from a collecting standpoint, I know you can use all that stuff in the Space Wolf army. Keep in mind that these Combat Patrols do come with upgrade frames. So if you were going to get one of these or like do a Divergent chapter, I would make sure you pick up one of these boxes before you build your Battle Force so that you can clip and use all those little spare parts on the generic guys that come in the Battle Force to really bring them home and make them part of whatever Divergent chapter you've chosen to go with. So that is definitely something you can do. And the next one you can do to the nines, because I am intimately familiar with those, and those are Black Templar. All right, here's Combat Patrol Black Templar, and yep, it's all infantry again. It seems to be a thing for Space Marines. And the Black Templar one, though, is actually quite good. You start off with the Emperor's Champion, who's this awesome-looking dude here with the sword. You get 3 Blade Guard Veteran, which we have seen before, but we will see again here with these guys, as well as 5 Sword Brethren. The Sword Brethren are Black Templar specific close combat dudes. So I believe it's these 5 right here are your Sword Brethren, and then there's your veterans up there, not the Stern Guard, the Blade Guard, there we go. And then you also get 5 regular intercessors who are the dudes over there. So it's a really, 10 Crusaders. You get 10 Crusaders. The Crusade Squad is interesting because you get these little scout-looking dudes here. Those are the... not the initiates, I forget what they're called, but you get these little scout dudes. They're the ones trying to become Battle Brothers, and then you get the Battle Brothers themselves. That's what the Crusade Squad is, and the Crusade Squad is very cool, very Black Templar unique, but all of these squads have insane amounts of customization. In fact, my favorite hobbying channel to watch, which is Eons of Battle, Jay has a massive Black Templar collection, and he has spoken at length at the Sword Brethren kit specifically being like the kit to end all kits. It has so many options in it to build things. If you are going to go Black Templar, absolutely 1000% buy this Combat Patrol and use all the spare parts that come with it to build the Battle Force out. And the Battle Force does go together with the Black Templar stuff like peanut butter and jelly. It really does. The kind of like really shooty stuff like the Ballistus Dreadnought might get a little like kind of side-eye because Black Templar are all about getting in close and doing close combat things. But the Stern Guard veterans are going to work and look beautifully. The Hellblasters are going to work and look beautifully. The Redemptive Dreadnought absolutely goes with the Black Templar. The Lieutenant, the Captain, the Company Heroes, all fantastic. So, really there's only one thing in that whole box that doesn't quite line up 1000% with Black Templar, and it's okay. Like I said, this Black Templar box is amazing. It is a little disappointing being all infantry again, no vehicles, no walkers, nothing like that, but from a pure infantry perspective, it is very exciting like the Space Wolf one. Everything in here is 100% Black Templar only, and you get a lot of variety. That Sword Brethren squad, Crusader squad, it has, like I said, those 4 little scout-looking dudes in it, and they are utterly unique to the Black Templars. I know they look like scouts, but they are utterly unique. They actually came out years before the current scouts, and it's really cool to have those mixed into a squad. Then you've got the regular intercessors in the squad as well, and again, there's a ton of options as far as build-outs and stuff. You saw one of them is actually holding a flamethrower, right? All sorts of stuff. The Emperor's Champion is fantastic. You were required, well, at least you were required to take one all the way back in 3rd edition. I don't know if that's still the case in 10th, but how the lore worked is every Black Templar force is a crusade. They are specifically crusading, very specifically, like fleet-based. They take an oath, and while they're taking the oath, one of the Black Templar will have a vision from the Emperor and be chosen to be the Emperor's champion. So every Black Templar army has to have an Emperor's champion, or at least used to. I don't know what the current rules are. I would darn well hope so, though. And then the Sword Brethren, that kit, like I was just saying, from Eons of Battle and Jay, it is a kit basher's dream. Dark Angels players buy that kit. Like Ultramarines players, like everybody, because the robes are the robes, the stuff that is generic, Imperium, and it looks fantastic, and it's pretty easy to kind of like get rid of Black Templar logos and things like that. They are super duper rad. There's a zillion parts in those. You can really use those to dress up everything else in the Battle Force. And then those Blade Guard veterans, same thing that we just talked about in the Dark Angels box not terribly long ago. So as a standalone box, this box is fantastic, even though it's all infantry. It does work extremely well with this battle force because the battle force is a little light on infantry, and all of the infantry is very different than what you get in the battle force. So yeah, they go together fantastically. So if you're gonna go with Black Templar, it's an excellent option, both the battle force and the combat patrol. Get them and just get after it. All right, the final divergent chapter we're going to talk about is actually the Ultramarines. And this is hilarious because the Ultramarines wrote the Codex. They wrote the book. They are supposed to be the chapter that follows it exclusively. They don't have any like units that nobody else can get. What they have are all the named characters. So basically all the characters that are in the lore, that are in the books and all that kind of stuff, a lot of them get to be Ultramarines, and a lot of those get to be made into kits. So you do end up with Ultramarine specific units, but they are all just special characters. By no means do you have to run them as Ultramarines. You could, use the special character and make it be, slightly different, Gobert Balulamin or something like that. You could get funny with it. But realistically, Ultramarines now have so many special characters and stuff, and have had so much focus, especially lately, they've kind of become their own thing, even though they don't have their own book. Now, what has happened is, again, as of November 2025, there is a Combat Patrol Ultramarines. It is not a regularly stocked item. So once these sell out, they're gone forever. That being said, it was not limited in the run that they made. So Games Workshop made an absolute shed load of them. They are all over the place. As of this filming, I can find them in friendly local game stores and all over, online, resellers, things like that. Your retailers, I should say, things like that. Super easy to come by. That might not necessarily be the case, but assuming you are watching this video when it is like new and fresh, and you are wanting to run Ultramarines, especially knowing the upgrade sprue that comes in the battle force, and you really like, Lieutenant Titus or, any of that kind of stuff, and you're wanting to go down the Ultramarines branch, then you're probably interested in this box. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So this is Combat Patrol Ultramarines, and this is what makes it Ultramarines. This is Chief Librarian Tigurius. He is indeed a named special character for the Ultramarines. Now, that being said, there's no reason why you can't run him as a regular non-named librarian. You can certainly clip off the little Ultramarine views and whatnot and kind of make him your own thing. But again, if you're buying this, you're probably wanting to do Ultramarines, and Chief Librarian Tigurius is actually a pretty darn cool character. You also get 3 aggressors. That's these dudes here in the back. They're a heavier Gravis armor with like a jump pack thing and these like Power Fist gauntlets with bolters on them, which are really cool. You get 3 Blade Guard Veteran. Hey, look, it's these guys again. We keep talking about the 3 Blade Guard Veteran. They're in, yes, 3 of these 5 boxes. You also get 5 Reavers. That's these guys right here with the lighter Phobos armor. And then 5 regular Intercessors, which are right there, your regular Space Marines. And that is the box. And honestly, if they had put anything besides Chief Librarian Tigurius in this box, this would have made an excellent Combat Patrol Space Marine. You get 5 Reavers and 5 Intercessors, which are like mainstays. Reavers, I think, can be battle line in certain detachments or chapters, but not all of them. But even when they're not battle line, they are fantastic at holding objectives, taking objectives, sneaking behind enemy lines. They are one of my favorite units. And then regular old Intercessors, you cannot go wrong with bog standard Space Marines. They are who they are for a reason. And then the aggressors are very cool. This is a unit that we haven't seen anything like yet in all of the stuff we've been talking about. They are a heavier Gravis armor, and then they have a jump pack on them, so it gives them still some mobility. They've got these really rad gauntlets, so it's like a big old Power Fist, and then it's got the bolter on the bottom of it, much like Marnius Calgar, the chapter master of the Ultramarines, has. And they're just a wicked cool unit. I do have those again in my own personal army. And then those 3 Blade Guard Veteran. We've talked about the Blade Guard Veteran at nauseum at this point, but they are a really fantastic kit. And again, they feature in 3 out of 5 of these combat patrols. They work really well with the Battle Force. Again, the Battle Force, even though it is generic, it does come with an upgrade head sprue that is kind of designed to be a little bit Ultramarine-y. So you can use all those parts. This box comes specifically with an Ultramarine upgrade set that is different and designed to just be Ultramarines. In fact, let me show it to you because it is that rad. Here is the Ultramarines upgrade sprue that comes in that Combat Patrol. And like I said, you get all of these shoulder pads. You get the big U's that you can put on vehicles or on top of poles and banners. You get more crazy looking heads. You get some swords. You get these really awesome looking helmets and even like a specialized Terminator thing and some tilting plates. It really is rad. So yeah, if you're gonna be an Ultramarine player, getting this Combat Patrol just to get your hands on that upgrade sprue, combining it with the head sprue that comes in the battleforce, you can really pimp out your army and make it super duper awesome looking. Or doing any of the Ultramarines successor chapters that still use the U. There's like the Praetors of Orpheus and stuff like that. Really fantastic kit. Again, it's not limited, but it's not unlimited. So if you're watching this and it's like, January, February, March of 2026 or beyond, or, you've picked up this box many years in the future and you found us, in the 2030s, you're not going to find this box. But if you're watching this in November, December of 2025, this box is out there. It is well worth its value. It works fantastic with the battle force. And by all means, you could be an Ultramarines player and really enjoy it. So yeah, nothing much more to say about that. All right, and now we're going to talk about actual limited battle forces as well. So all of these next ones came out within the last few months. They came out in 2 waves. The ones that came out first are pretty well sold out everywhere. You're not really seeing those. That would be the White Scars, the Salamanders, and the Imperial Fists. And then the second wave that came out was the Iron Hands and Raven Guard. As of this filming, they are still out there. You can still find the older ones. They tend to hover at retail, maybe a slight discount, whereas like, a Raven Guard one, I can still get it 15% off of its already, reduced box price. So just keep that in mind. Each one of these boxes, again, because you can't necessarily guarantee you're going to get them, I'm not going to show them or really go through them, but they all do work with the battle force very well. Imperial Fist has a bunch of Terminators and a bunch of heavy intercessors in it. Again, nothing like anything in the battle force, and everything in the battle force does actually work very well with Imperial Fists. Very well with Imperial Fists. So if you wanted to go Imperial Fist and you do manage to already have one of those, or have gotten one, or got it as a gift or whatever, by all means, go for it. And once again, upgrade sprues galore. I cannot stress this enough. If you're gonna do a chapter and you want to buy a box with an upgrade sprue in it, get that box now and use that upgrade sprue before you build this battle force. Salamander's also an excellent choice. It has the Invader ATV, which is exciting. Hey, we finally get a vehicle, as well as some of the flamethrower dudes, and some other kind of infantry guys, and then a special character that is Salamander only. There was also a special character in the Imperial Fist one. But anyways, it works, again, very well with this kit. The Salamanders are one of my favorite chapters. They look really cool. They have a dark green and black. They got flames on them. Like a monitor lizard head is the emblem and stuff. They have lots of hammers. All 39,000 of the 40,000 war hammers live in the Salamanders. So if you like the hammers, definitely take a look at them. Again, this battle force is an excellent starting off point for a Salamander's army as well. White Scars is the one that I'm a little bit iffy on. So again, way back in my day, when I was really into 40K competitively, White Scars could really only take bikes and speeders and things that moved fast. And if they did take infantry, they had to be mounted. They had to go inside of a rhino. So this battle force doesn't read as White Scars to me. That being said, I don't have that supplement for 10th edition. I'm not that familiar with those particular rules as they are right now. I have certainly seen White Scars armies that just have guys on foot these days, so I don't know. It could be different, but the White Scars Combat Patrol, was very popular because it had a bunch of bikes in it, and then the special character was a leader on a jet bike, which was something brand new and different and cool. Obviously, that is nothing like what's in this Battle Force box. This is a lot like picking up that Vanguard Task Force. It is very different. It is a completely different end of the spectrum to this Battle Force. It's all really fast things on bikes, all mounted. Gonna hit very differently. That being said, if you want to play White Scars, or if you have that box, this battle force does still work with it. It just doesn't work quite as well. It's kind of like the Blood Angels, like Combat Patrol. How it doesn't really work for Blood Angels, which is weird. But yeah, this battle force might not work the best with White Scars. There's also Iron Hands. So Iron Hands is one of the two that, like, again, as of this recording, you can get fairly easily. Iron Hands has some, like heavier intercessors and 2 platforms. So they're like these fire strike servo turret things. So it's like a mounted gun platform with a Space Marine on it. Very interesting, very kind of odd, very different for Space Marine stuff. And then their special character is an Iron Hands guy on foot. This box would work with Iron Hands, this Battle Force, but it might get a little weird. The Iron Hands are very stoic. They don't have a lot of robes or tchotchkes or gubbins or things like that. So it might not be the right feel with this Battle Force, but again, tabletop-wise, it's going to work just fine. And it is a good pickup in and of itself. The last one is the Raven Guard. The Raven Guard is the one that I am personally picking up because, again, that's what most of my stuff is. It's all sneaky. Honestly, if you're gonna go Raven Guard, why are you watching this video? Nothing in this box is sneaky. There's nothing sneaky about giant dreadnoughts. There's nothing sneaky about robed guys holding banners 16 feet in the air, with giant gleaming gold reflective things on them. There's nothing sneaky about it. If you were gonna do Raven Guard, I would recommend getting that online only Vanguard Task Force. That plus the Raven Guard Combat Patrol is just chef's kiss amazing. The Raven Guard Combat Patrol, you get jump pack guys, which are excellent, as well as a jump pack captain, and then you get a Invictor tactical warsuit. So it's like the size of a dreadnought, only instead of having a dead guy and a sarcophagus inside of it, it's got a live guy in a cage. Very Aliens 1 movie looking, super duper rad. Honestly, if you wanted that box and you didn't want to run it as Raven Guard, it's an excellent pickup. I'm not running Raven Guard, but I'm like going very sneaky. But that box does pair well with this Battle Force if you are not doing Raven Guard. Assault Space Marines are Assault Space Marines, an Assault Captain is Assault Captain, the Warsuit is a Warsuit, and then I think there's a squad of those Infiltrator guys in there. Everything works really well with what you get in this box set. You end up with now 3 walkers, but all 3 of them are extremely different kits and operate extremely different on the battlefield. You now add jump pack stuff, which you don't have in this box. You add some sneaky stuff that you don't have in this box. So it could be a really, really good pickup. So definitely one to think about. All right, that actually finally gets us through all of the Space Marine discount boxes as of this filming, or at least everything that's common enough to be worth talking about, because there's more than 3 of them for sale online. You're probably like way overloaded with information right now, and that's totally okay. That's what Space Marines do. There are more Space Marine models than most other ranges have, like with all of their sub-factions combined. Think like Eldar and Harlequin and Dark Eldar combined probably don't have as many models as Space Marines, right? Like that's just how big this range is, even still in 2025. So I would recommend take a look at the models, buy what you like, because you're going to play with what you like a lot more often than you're going to play with things that you don't like. So keep that in mind. If you've been gifted or you've purchased this Battle Force and you don't like it or don't like everything in it, you are at the best situation, because it is going to be super duper easy to sell these Space Marines, even piecemeal, than any of the other sets. So for example, if you really like the Dreadnoughts, but you don't like all the guys with the robes, you can sell off the Stern Guard veterans and that, captain and company and lieutenant, and just keep the Dreadnoughts and the Hellblasters. You'd be just fine doing that. Or vice versa. Maybe you like all the really random, wild, cool robed stuff. You can sell off the the Dreadnoughts fairly easily. So the Space Marines are the easiest faction to like buy, sell, trade, get things at a discount, and build up from there. Also keep in mind, next edition, the launch box is gonna have Space Marines in it. You are guaranteed to get more sets than everybody else. There is going to continue to be special edition Space Marine sets. There's going to continue to be Space Marine boxes every year. The Battle Forces, there is always at least one Space Marine box. It's just inevitable. There's the thing. The meme is, you've got to have your equal representation Space Marine Lieutenant model anytime somebody else gets anything at all. And it's kind of rings true. So you kind of can't go wrong. You can collect Space Marines till you're blue in the face, as blue as an Ultramarine, and it will work just fine. But you don't have to take my word for it, because we actually have a resident Space Marine expert in-house. Best Grot.
Hi!
All right, for those of you that don't watch the channel, because again, most people that watch these particular videos are brand spanking new to the channel, Best Grot here has collected, built, and painted a massive Space Marine army multiple times. And what is your chapter of choice?
Second Space Marine. Second group.
No, you're like what army?
Oh.
In the Space Marines.
Ultramarines.
Ultramarines. All right. So not only is he a beakie head, he is a blueberry beakie head. So he really knows what's going on. You're also a certified child, right? So you kind of know like Christmas morning, what's exciting, what's good, right? Right. Okay. So 9-year-old's perspective, 10-year-old's perspective. You're 10.
I'm 10.
I can't count that high.
Yeah, because you're too old to.
Hey. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show Best Grot the new battle force. I'm going to tell him what all the units are, and we're going to get his reaction to them. So, Best Grot, look on the screen here. I will get this blown up, but we'll try to keep you on camera here for everybody to get your reaction shot. So imagine Christmas morning, right? Red Gobbo has brought you something under the Squigmas tree. You rip it open, and it's this. Battle Force Iron Halo Strike Force. Okay, so what you've got here is a Space Marine captain, all right, who is leading a squad of company heroes. So you've got your champion guy, your ancient banner bearer guy, your the one that does the jousting and stuff, and then a couple of special weapons dudes, right? So you get that. Then you get a lieutenant. You also get a ballistus dreadnought. That's the one that has the missile launcher on one arm and the las cannon on the other arm. So he's all about the shooting. Yeah, the same one we've got over there.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, literally that one. You get one of those. As well as the Redemptor dreadnought. So that's the same dreadnought chassis, but the arms are, the one arm is a weapon, and there's like multiple weapons you can put on it. That one's a plasma gun. And then it's got the power claw in the other one, and you can put like a flamethrower or some stuff on it. So you get 2 different dreadnoughts. Then you get 5 Stern Guard veterans. Those are those dudes there that have the like little rope things on them and all the extra stuff because they're first company veterans. And they've got the blasters, the bigger guns, right? So there's like the Pyre Flamer and the Melta Gun and stuff. And then 5 Hell Blasters, which are the dudes with the plasma rifles in the back, which you do own the Hell Blasters. You don't have anything else on here. Well, that's not true. You do have a captain, company heroes, and a lieutenant, but you don't have those particular ones.
Yeah.
This also comes with, and let me know if you think this is cool or not, a box of 51 Space Marine heads. Like literally heads. Let's see, they're right there. Get those pulled up for you. They are not Ultramarine specific, even though that's what they're painted as and stuff. But yeah, you get a whole bunch of unhelmeted heads, and then a couple of helmeted heads, a couple with like the big broom things on top. Are the heads cool or no?
I want them.
Yeah? You do want the heads?
Yeah, I want the heads.
Okay, so the heads are a worthwhile upgrade. So, if that's what you opened on Christmas morning, scale of 1 to 10, how excited would you be? Give an honest answer here. These people might be buying this for their 10-year-old kid.
I'd give it 8, 9, 10 maybe.
8, 9, 10? Okay.
Yeah, the box of heads itself, it's a 6 or 7%.
Right. Yeah, okay. You got your joke in there. But the actual box, like, what do you think of it for real?
The actual box, I'd give 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even knowing that you have that squad and that squad, like, but because those are a different sculpt, like, would you not mind having a second version of them?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What makes it cool? Like, what makes it an 8, 9, 10? Versus, like, here's some of the other boxes that we've talked about for the other armies. Like, the Chaos one there also has vehicles, but they're different. Boring. Is it just because they're not Space Marines? All right. But against other Space Marine boxes, like, what makes this one cooler?
This one is really good, and I like the dreadnoughts, like, a wide variety of, like, you have 2 different dreadnoughts. And then you have, like, a whole weapons squad and everything, and I mean, it's a pretty good squad. Though I do say I would take this guy, the jousting guy, and turn him into the captain instead.
Well, that box is incredibly customizable. You get a zillion parts for all the dudes. So you can custom build them however you want. I'm sure there's somewhere in there to make them cool. So yeah, so take
Maybe
it.
like a 9. Maybe a 9 or 10.
There you go. So take it from a 9 or 10-year-old that this box is a 9 or 10 for Christmas morning. I mean, really, again, you don't have to take my word for it. Take the word of a actual Space Marine expert. But it is a really cool box. You get 5 regular dudes with, plasma guns that are fun to build and paint. You get 5 dudes with like extra adornments that have big guns that are fun to build and paint and are different. And then you get 5 other dudes that are even more adorned and have all the crazy customizable options for close combat and being captains and commanders and stuff. And then you've got 2 different dreadnoughts, and that is a really cool box. All right, well, there you have it. Even the 10-year-old agrees and says that this is the box to get. So yeah, I know, like I said, super long video, but it is the biggest faction by far. We really had a lot to cover. It's an excellent battle force. Don't get the combat patrol that's generic Space Marine. Pick whatever chapter you want to go with. Maybe grab one of those combat patrols. Maybe think about the Vanguard Task Force that's online, or, like I said, doing those Combat Patrol magazine, Imperium magazine, Dawn of War board game. There's a zillion ways to get your hands on some Space Marines. You probably don't even collect Space Marines, and they'll just randomly appear in your house. That's kind of how it happens with Warhammer, because every special edition thing seems to come with Space Marines. So yeah, it just kind of happens. So you won't have any problem whatsoever increasing the size of this army and making it, bigger and better and enjoying it. So that's all of our recommendations for this one, and I thank you all so much for watching. Now, obviously, if you haven't been around the channel, I'm kind of quite busted up. I shattered my wrist, so you'll notice some of the photography work or videography work and whatnot is a little choppy and stuff. I can't use like my regular tripods and things like that because they require 2 hands to operate, and I can't pitch do anything. So apologies for the kind of jankiness of some of this. If you want to help support me so that I can get back to that once all of this is done and healed with, there are multiple ways to do so. Liking, subscribing, sharing with a friend all help out. Watching videos. If you're curious about the other battle forces, like I said, we're doing every single one of them. All of that helps out. If you want to do even more, you can join us here on YouTube, become a channel member. It's only $5 TF a month. What happens is you get to watch the videos before anybody else. They go live as soon as they go live, and then they go live for everybody at midnight. So you do get that early access. Same thing with our Patreon. You can come over to Patreon and join us there. It's the same $5. And you get kind of some different stuff over there. I kind of do some exclusive things and some behind the scenes stuff and things like that. By all means, you can do both if you want to. We also have a merch store at theredonesgofast.com. It's linked in our description on always. That's the drip that old Big Mek wears in every video, made by myself and our artists. No AI slap here. So all of that definitely supports the channel. If you like Space Marines and you're not into anything else, still consider subscribing and checking around. Like I said, I have my own Space Marine army, and as you met Best Grot, he does have quite a large force. In fact, he sold like half of it and still has 2,000 points because he discovered that there were certain things he liked and certain things he didn't like, and so he sold all the things he didn't like so he could buy more of the things he did like. So yeah, even a 10-year-old can buy, sell, and trade Space Marines with ease. So yeah, we do talk about him even here on this channel quite a bit. We do feature his army quite a bit, and we will be working on my army whenever I finally choose which chapter it's going to be. It will definitely be homebrew and go from there. So yeah, hopefully we'll catch you on some of those videos in the future. Until then, walk on!